Welcome to the meeting tonight. It's the Tuesday, May 13th meeting. Under provisions of NJSA 10-4-6, notice that the time and place of this meeting was given by way of an annual meeting notice to the Star Ledger, Courier News, and the Home News, and posted at Borough Hall. Please stand for a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right, roll call, please.
Mayor Mikolajczyk.
Here.
Council President Conahan.
Here.
Councilman Carnes.
Present.
Councilman DeSenza.
Present.
Councilman DeCino.
Here.
Councilman Doty.
Here.
Councilman Griggs. Administrator LaPlace.
Here.
And Attorney Corsini.
Here. Okay, welcome everybody. It's nice to see we got a full house here. I have to say, this is my favorite meeting of the year, every year, because I don't have to make a presentation. Everyone else gets to do a lot of the work, especially the chief and the command staff. And every year, one of these comes out and has a list of names on there. And I couldn't be more proud of each and every one of them that they represent Middlesex in the best light. So without further ado, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Middlesex Police Department's award presentation. It's both an honor and a privilege to stand before you at this important occasion to recognize a moment where we look at the outstanding courage, service, and dedication of the men and women of our police department. I'd like to thank our Mayor, Mayor Mikolajczyk, Council President Conahan, our police liaison, Kevin Doty, the entire governing body, and our business administrator, Michael LaPlace, for their continued support of the police department and our officers throughout the year. I'd also like to thank our residents and business partners. We're truly grateful for your support. Before we start the award ceremony, I'd like to introduce my command staff, Captain Greg Thomasy, Lieutenant Thomas Carroll, Lieutenant Thomas Paul, and Lieutenant James Delaney. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here and for all your help throughout the year. This year, National Police Week is recognized in the United States from May 11th to May 17th. It first became observed in 1962 when President John F. Kennedy declared May 15th National Peace Officers Day, and the calendar of the week in which May 15th falls, National Police Week. Yesterday, the police department held a ceremony in front of police headquarters, placing a wreath in front of our monument to commemorate Police Week and to honor law enforcement officers from around the country who have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their communities. The National Law Enforcement Memorial and Museum support ceremonies to honor, remember, respect, and pay tribute to those who gave their lives in the line of duty. Right now, as we're at our meeting in Washington, D.C., they're holding the 37th annual Candlelight Vigil on the National Mall to honor 345 fallen officers whose names will be added to the 24,067 already engraved as a memorial. This week, we honor those 345 officers who sacrificed their lives to keep us all safe. Every day, our officers put on their uniforms, they step into the unknown and uphold the oath that they swore to protect and serve our community with integrity, fairness, and courage. Today we shine light on those among us who have gone above and beyond the call of duty. To those receiving awards today, you've shown bravery in the face of danger, compassion in moments of crisis, and a steadfast commitment to the safety and well-being of our citizens. Your actions reflect the very best of what it means to serve in law enforcement. Some of you responded to emergencies where lives were at stake. Others displayed leadership and calm under intense pressure. Whether it was saving a life, preventing tragedy, or showing extraordinary dedication over time, your efforts have not gone unnoticed. Let me be clear. It's not only the high-profile moments that define bravery. Sometimes it's the quiet consistency, the daily commitment to excellence, the mentorship of new police officers, the strength to do the right thing when it's hard. That too is heroism. To the families and the loved ones here today, thank you. Your support is the backbone that allows our officers to serve with such unwavering commitment. We know that this job is not done alone, and your sacrifices are seen and deeply appreciated. As Chief of Police, I could not be more proud. You represent the heart and soul of this department, and you remind us all why we chose this path. Tonight we gather to recognize our officers for their actions between 2024 and 2025. Each year we begin the award ceremony after we join together in a moment of silence to recognize the police officers, firefighters, emergency service members, and military personnel who have dedicated their time or paid the ultimate sacrifice protecting our safety and our freedom. I would also like to recognize retired members of the Middlesex Police Department who have served our community and since passed away. So please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. All right, now on to awards. To start our awards presentation, I invite the following officers to join me at the lectern. Sergeant George Pileski, Officer Mark Arancio, Officer Anthony Payne-Shaw, Officer April Mendito, and Officer David Wilczynski. Okay, on Thursday, February 6, 2025, at 9:07 p.m., Somerset County Communications received a call from a responsive mail in the area of Boundbrook Road, Extension 3 Road. Sergeant George Pileski, Officer Mark Arancio, Officer Anthony Payne-Shaw, Officer April Mendito, and David Wilczynski responded to that scene. Officers Arancio and Wilczynski first arrived and located an unresponsive male patient seated in the passenger seat of the vehicle. Officer Wilczynski attempted to awaken the patient with a sternum rub, but was unsuccessful. He determined that the patient had agonal breathing and no pulse. Officers Arancio and Wilczynski removed the patient from the vehicle and placed him onto the ground to begin to perform life-saving CPR. Sergeant Pileski, Officer Payne-Shaw, and Officer Mendito arrived on scene to assist and utilize AED, and CPR continued with the officers on the roadside. After several minutes elapsed and several cycles of CPR were performed, the patient was reassessed, at which time the pulse was detected. The patient was still unresponsive, and officers transitioned from CPR to rescue breathing. As officers continued rescue breathing for several minutes, the patient slowly began to regain consciousness and became slightly responsive, opening his eyes and started talking. The officers placed the patient in a recovery position and covered him with an emergency blanket to keep him comfortable. Rutgers Basic Life Support and John F. Kennedy Medical Center Advanced Life Support units arrived on the scene and took over patient care. The patient was transported to Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital in Somerville by ALS and BLS, and his family was notified. The life-saving resuscitation statement was awarded for an act performed in the line of duty, which through disregard of personal safety or prompt and alert reaction on employing life-saving measures, equipment resulting in resuscitation of the person to save their life. It is with great pride that I present Sergeant George Pileski, Officer Mark Arancio, Officer Anthony Payne-Shaw, Officer April Mendito, and Officer David Wilczynski with the Life-Saving Resuscitation Award due to their prompt response and efforts. We honor them and celebrate saving a life. Congratulations. Next, I'd like to ask the following officers to join me at the lectern: Sergeant Jolene Mauricio, Sergeant George Pileski, Officer Scott Christofides is not available tonight, he's unable to get here, Officer Jamie Marzak, and Officer Robert Dankage. Okay. On Monday, October 14, 2024, the officer dispatched to the area of the Cedar Avenue Railroad crossing for a report of a male lying on the railroad tracks. New Jersey Transit employee observed the male and reported the incident. Somerset County Communications dispatchers contacted New Jersey Transit Conrail and requested approaching trains to stop. Sergeant Pileski was the person who arrived to the rear of 532 Lincoln Boulevard and obtained visual of the male along the New Jersey Transit track east of Cedar Avenue. At that time, Sergeant Pileski also observed the eastbound New Jersey Transit train approaching. Sergeant Pileski motioned with his arms for the train to stop, which appeared to already be slowing. He then observed the male lie down on the tracks. The male saw Sergeant Pileski, stood up, and began to walk away from him towards the east. Sergeant Pileski continued to pursue the male on foot. Sergeant Riggio, Officer Christophe, Officer Marzak, and Officer Danger responded and coordinated their efforts, closing the distance from both sides to provide assistance to Sergeant Pileski, who was still actively pursuing the male. Sergeant Riggio and Officer Marzak entered the railroad tracks by foot, while Officer Christophe and Danger traveled along the right-of-way and patrol vehicles. Officer Christophe and Danger were able to stop the male along the railroad right-of-way and escorted him to safety. The male was brought to the parking lot at Lincoln Park, where Valmont EMS responded, evaluated him, and transported him to Robert Johnson University for medical and psychological evaluations. The swift action and collective efforts of the officers and dispatchers involved preserved life, prevented further injury or incident to the patient and those on the approaching New Jersey Transit. The unit citation is awarded for the distinguished team effort by all participating staff members showing initiative and accomplishment in the protection of life and property. I'm proud to present Sergeant Jolene Riggio, Sergeant George Pileski, Officer Scott Christophe, Officer Jamie Marzak, and Officer Robert Danger with the Unit Citation Award. It's important to recognize that our officers repeatedly think and act quickly to work cooperatively to achieve positive outcomes, putting their own safety at risk. Keep up the excellent work. Congratulations. All right. Last one. Last but certainly not least, I'd like to ask Captain Thomas to join me in the lecture. It is with great pride and admiration that I take a moment to recognize an extraordinary achievement by one of our own. Excuse me. Today we honor Captain Thomas for reaching a truly remarkable milestone of 30 years of dedicated service to this department without taking a single sick day. The certificate of commendation is awarded for the intelligent performance of an act, materially contributing to the accomplishment of the department's mission under adverse or unusual circumstances, performed with special faithfulness and perseverance. Think about that for a moment. 30 years, over 3 decades, of unwavering presence, reliability, commitment. Rain or shine, challenges or calm, Captain Thomas has always been the constant. That kind of dedication is rare, speaks volumes about his character, his work ethic, and his sense of humor. He's not only led by example, but he's done so with a consistency that inspires those around him. This isn't just about perfect attendance, it's about resilience, responsibility, devotion, and the mission to the people that we serve. On behalf of the department, thank you, Captain Thomas, to you. Set a gold standard for us all that will be remembered by generations to come. We're honored to work alongside you. Please join me in congratulating Captain Thomas, not only for this accomplishment, but for his retirement. He's announced that he's going to retire from the police department in a few short weeks on June 1st. Congratulations. To conclude, I want to thank the Mayor and Council for giving me an opportunity to hold our ceremony during this council meeting. Special thanks to our awards committee that was led by Lieutenant Paul for reviewing and providing recommendations for the ceremony. Congratulations to everyone who received awards tonight. Your community is safer and stronger and better because of all of you on the wall. Thanks for your time and attention tonight.
Hey guys, before you all file out, if everyone else, if you could just stand up for a second, I'd like to applaud these guys. The guys that got awards, that didn't get awards, you guys did a great job today. Guys, thank you very much. I'll tell you what, we'll give you a minute or so to clear out for those of you that don't want to stay for the fun. It's just beginning. And congratulations. And I got to say, all you guys that brought your kids, they're all great. Chief, good job. I appreciate it. Good job. Thank you, Chief. Thank you. You short timers.
30 years. A long time.
A long time.
Long time to walk
Which one? Oh, really? Not at all.
He kind of came in and asked. Yeah, I just
Yeah. You might show up later.
do that public comment as quickly as you can.
Oh, we are?
Okay. It's told open close.
Yeah.
Open close.
I hope.
We got the problem in the service of floor like 25 minutes away. No, it's not. Oh, no, because look, we got all these bad boys here. I agree.
It's good.
And look at it, you guys, there's a lot between here and there.
Hey, Jeremiah.
Yes, sir.
You gonna do the older Americans?
If you would like.
Sure.
It makes sense to have the youngest councilman do the oldest.
I think so.
You are, true.
He is the
But
representative.
also, your youth springs eternal.
We go.
All right, guys. Are we ready? All right, guys, we're going to kick this back into gear. So right now we have, hey, guys, appointments.
We have accepting the resignation of Mike Conningham from the Recreation Committee.
Motion, second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, next.
Accepting the resignation of Mark Krantz from the Cultural and Arts Committee.
Motion. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, a couple of proclamations. Kevin?
I'm first.
You're first.
Okay. Let's do it easy. Stay here. Okay, proclamation, National Police Week. Whereas, proclaimed by President John F. Kennedy in 1962, Congress and the President of the United States have designated May 15, 2025 as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which it falls as National Police Week. And whereas, there are approximately 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Middlesex Police Department. And whereas the members of our law enforcement agency of Middlesex Borough play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of our citizens, merchants, and visitors. And whereas over its 85 years and counting, our police department has grown to be a modern and well-respected law enforcement agency which unceasingly provides a vital public service, and whereas it is important for all citizens to know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agency, and that members of our law enforcement agency recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression and exploitation. And whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial 37th Annual Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May 13th, 2025, whereas U.S. flags should be flown at half-staff on May 15th for Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all fallen officers and their families. Now, therefore, I, Jacob Mikuliciak, Mayor of the Borough of Middlesex, call upon our citizens and all patriotic, civic, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 11th to 17th, 2025 as National Police Week, recognizing all law enforcement officers, past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities. I further call upon all citizens to observe May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day to honor our law enforcement officers who have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their community or have been disabled in the performance of their duties, and let us recognize and pay respect to the survivors of our fallen heroes.
Thank you. All right. All right. It's only fitting that we have Jeremiah take the next one.
Thank you, sir. Proclamation of Older Americans Month 2025. Whereas May is Older Americans Month, a time for us to recognize and honor Middlesex Borough's older adults and their immense influence on every facet of American society. And whereas their wealth of life and experience and wisdom, older adults guide our younger generations and carry forward the abundant cultural and historic knowledge. And whereas older Americans improve our communities through intergenerational relationships and community service, civic engagement, and many other activities. And whereas communities benefit when people of all ages, abilities, backgrounds have the opportunity to participate and live independently. And whereas Middlesex Borough must ensure that older Americans have the resources and support needed to stay involved in their communities, reflecting our commitment to inclusivity and connectedness. And now, therefore, I, Jack Mikolajczyk, Mayor of Middlesex Borough, do hereby proclaim May 2025 as Older Americans Month. This year's theme is Flip the Script on Aging, emphasizes the profound impact of meaningful interactions and social connection on the well-being and health of older adults in our community. I call upon our residents to join me and recognize the contributions in our older citizens from promoting programs and activities that foster connection, inclusion, and support for older adults. Dated May 13, 2020.
Thank you. Okay. The next thing is the budget hearing. We have to open it up for public comment, correct?
Yes. Do you,
Yep.
I don't know if Carol would like to speak on it first, or?
Well,
Need a motion?
motion, second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, just as a little precursor here, the budget, to the best of my knowledge, had 0 changes since when we introduced it, so it's exactly the same. There were no changes. This is, right now, if you have comments that you want to make regarding the budget, please step up to the mic. This is our public hearing. Nobody? I do want to say that as Mr. Polakevich, who's out gallivanting and watching Graham Parker tonight, because he told me that, we did skin the cat. And there was a lot of work that was put into this by all the departments. And I'd like to thank everybody for their participation in this process. It was pretty open. It went back and forth a bunch of times. And we got down to the number that we wanted to get to. And it wasn't too easy. And I don't know how long we're going to be able to sustain it. But we made a promise. And I have to say, that one of the toughest guys on that was Mike Conahan. He was hell-bent on getting there. And we went a few rounds, and we did get there. And that's all I have to say. Last chance on the public comments. Anybody? Motion to close the public comments.
Motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, we have Resolution 127-2025. It's the resolution to adopt the 2025 municipal budget.
Motion?
Second.
Second? Okay.
We got any comments?
If you want to make sure.
Yeah, so I'm, this is the second year in a row where the administration, like, there's been issues with, like, communication with budget and issuing budget and who speaks to the council up here. So I just want to ensure that following year, Councilman Doty, and it was because of Councilman Conahan and Councilman Doty's positions and their explaining of things that I will move forward. Obviously, I'll throw my vote. But I think the communication really needs to be cleaned up, and therefore we can put our best foot forward in communication. And that's on us up here, right, to make sure that this information happens. That's not on any way in a reflection of department heads or, well, certain staff heads, but it's like, we just need to get that forward. But I want to thank the council president for his diligence, and, I agree he did very well. And Councilman Doty. And Councilman Dino entertained me as well, but that was very, that was over other stuff. But it was mainly these two that did their diligence, and I trust what they're doing, and I think that's important to note. But we do need to work on department communication for next year. So and you too, Mayor. I apologize. Thank you.
That's
for you
okay.
As well. So,
Joe?
I just want to thank Carolyn for all the work. She really went out of her way to make sure everything was precise. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, call the roll.
Council President Carnahan?
Yes.
Councilman Carnes?
yes.
Councilman DeSenza?
Yes.
Councilman DeCino?
Yes.
And Councilman Doty?
Yes.
All right, so moved. Callan, congratulations.
Thanks,
Thank you. Okay. Onward and upward.
Okay, for ordinances for introduction tonight, we have ordinance number 2162-25, an ordinance vacating Aubrey Place and a portion of Hale Place.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You need a roll call, right? Sorry.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Council President Carnahan?
Yes.
Councilman Carnes?
Yes.
Councilman DeSenza?
Yes.
Councilman DeCino?
Yes.
And Councilman Doty?
Yes.
The hearing is May 27th.
The hearing is May 27th. It's like having Jiminy Cricket with you. I love that.
Okay.
All right, next.
Okay, for final adoption, we have ordinance number 2149-25, an ordinance amending Chapter 332-41 and 332-52 of the Municipal Code regarding sewers.
Okay, at this point, we're going to open it up for public comment. Need a motion?
Motion.
Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, very good. Okay, we are now open. I guess we have a
Taker.
taker. Absolutely.
I don't know if this is on or... Sharon Schuler, 19 Starlet Drive, also a member of the Board of Education, although I do not speak for the board, I speak for myself. Is there a reason for the change to remove the public schools from the sewer ordinance at this time?
We're trying to be more consistent with all the towns that are around us. It's pretty much, this is what everybody does. We're looking at every single thing that we have, to try and see what we could do to just keep the pot right. And that's one that's been sticking out there, and that maybe the timing isn't the best, but it's when you're looking at trying to get everything in line, this is something that popped up. We weren't able to get it in line for the budget this year, but we figure we could start now so we can keep these things moving along.
So when should the public school expect to be paying the sewer fee if it's not in this year's budget?
Well, the budget's one thing, and actually when it gets passed, we still need to, we have the resolution. Originally we talked about it. I think we were looking at the third quarter. It would start, was it July 1st through the end of the year.
So part of the school board budget that we were unaware that we were paying until this ordinance came out.
Okay. I mean, I did make mention to it earlier that this is something that we were looking to do.
I understand, but it was an exclusion that a prior council specifically wrote into it for a lot of variety of reasons. So I just wanted to be sure that this whole council was sure that this is what they wanted to do, because the money, although it makes you skin the cat, but now it just moves it from the taxpayer paying it under your budget versus paying it under my budget.
That's true. That's true. I mean, there's...
It's still the same money.
Are we here as the school representative, or, because I can work with you, we can talk and do it as your liaison, whatever you need to do, and I'll gladly,
Well,
whatever you need,
I mean,
information-wise.
I have been going back and forth with Roberta. We're trying to coordinate a meeting to
Right.
get everybody, because there's the whole shared service thing, there's
Right.
the shared service agreement is out of line, so we're trying to tighten everything up, because it was a little loosey-goosey, and, when we started this year, there was a lot of, well, that's the way we always done it, and that, well, if it's not in writing, we're gonna make sure we have it all in writing.
Okay. All right.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Anybody else? All right, motion to close.
Motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion to approve.
Motion. Second.
Okay, any
Hold on.
discussion? Joe?
I have a concern in reading the ordinance. It looks to me like all nonprofits are now, should be paying sewer tax. It excludes, the way I read it, only municipal buildings are excluded from paying sewer tax. Which means the churches, the American Legion, the Elks, would all be paying a sewer tax.
I didn't interpret it that way, but we could take a closer look at it, just to make sure, because I don't think that was the intent
I
at
know,
this point.
but that's, if you read, it says everything but municipal buildings. I don't have a problem with that.
No,
I just want
I-
to make sure that we're all on the same
Right.
page.
Well, if like I said, if that's the way I interpreted that, they were not.
We can amend it too.
I mean,
At the next meeting.
we'll check the language, and if we have to amend it, we'll amend it. But that was the intent. The intent was the schools were on, all the nonprofits, which is basically what everybody else around us is doing. That's what we're trying to do. All right. Okay. Anyone else?
Nope.
Call the roll.
Council President Carnahan?
Yes.
Councilman Carnes?
Yes.
Councilman DeSenza?
Yes.
Councilman DeCino?
Yes.
And Councilman Doty.
Yes.
Okay, so moved. All right, next one.
We have ordinance number 2150-25, an ordinance amending Chapter 80, the Police Department, Section 80-9 qualifications of the Municipal Code of the Borough of Middlesex to amend the age of eligibility to 18 years old.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing part. Motion?
Motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone wishing to step forward on this? Seeing no one wants to step forward, motion to close.
Motion.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, anyone comments?
Just this puts us in line with the state.
Everybody else.
Yeah, with the state of New Jersey.
The state.
We're just using their
We were
numbers.
21, now we're 18.
Yep, yep.
Yep. All right, anyone else? All right, call the roll, please.
Council President Carnahan?
Yes.
Councilman Carnes?
Yes.
Councilman DeSenza?
Yes.
Councilman DeCino?
Yes.
Councilman Doty.
Yes.
All right, very good. Okay, next ordinance, please.
We have ordinance number 2151-25, an ordinance amending Chapter 375 taxation of the Municipal Code of the Borough of Middlesex to create a new Article 6 entitled Exemption Policy for Disabled Veterans and Surviving Spouses.
Okay, motion?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, anyone wishing to step forward and comment on this?
This is just pretty much a title change, right? Like, this doesn't change anything else to the veterans' benefits?
No, actually, what it did was, this is the one that waived the fees for, like, construction and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
All right, the public meeting is now open. Does anyone have anything to say on this? No? Okay, motion to close.
Motion.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Second. Any discussion, guys?
No.
All right, call the roll, please.
Council President Carnahan?
Yes.
Councilman Carnes?
Yes.
Councilman DeSenza?
Yes.
Councilman DeCino?
Yes.
And Councilman Doty.
Yes.
Okay. All right, very good. Adoption of minutes, please.
We have approval of the April 22nd, 2025 regular and executive meeting minutes.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, here we go. Let's move down to the mayor's report. Okay. I got a few quick things here. Congratulations on the volunteer fair. I thought it was well organized. The tent was out there, looked good. That was a great purchase, I think. We're going to get a lot of use out of that. That's the one there. Second one, budget thank you. I said it a couple of times already. One more time can't hurt, Caroline, because thank you very much. And it's well done, and it comes right at the same time, right after the annual audit, which also had one point that was so minor that's there every year, and it's something that's 100% out of your control. Gotta love it. I mean, that makes our life a lot easier, and it puts us way at the zero risk for anything popping up in a forensic audit if someone decides that they think we need one, which is why we don't need one. All right. Railroad tracks. Who's been over the railroad tracks lately? Have anyone seen the bollards that are there?
Every day.
Every day. Let's put it this way. You need to retake your driver's test if you're having a problem going through there right now. It's kind of like a chute almost. You go straight through and you come out on the other side. All right, moving on. The second meeting of Victor Krause seemed to go well. You know, there's more and more input coming along all the time. I know there's been a lot of background work. I know Lenny's been working with a lot of the people. You're going to see that he's been in touch with the DEP, EPA, all the rest of that stuff. The work that he is doing on the lake itself isn't changing the lake. It's maintenance, and we're allowed to do it, and it's okay. And I still want to get to DEP to let us open the gate to see if it even works. You know, that's one of those. All right, one last thing. There's been a lot of press about IKEA, however you say that. 172 Bakeland, all right? We've had quite a lot of action over there. We had the fire marshal was there last Monday. They were issued 29 violations. We had a site visit with, I think everybody and their cousin was there. We had the fire department there. We had the police department there. We had Somerset County Health. We had Middlesex County Health. We had the DPW there. We had the DEP there. And I know I'm missing somebody. The Board of Health for Somerset and Middlesex. And we went through basically and took a look at everything. They were nice enough to let us do that. I want to let people know a couple of things. First of all, it was eye-opening for me just to get a chance to go through there and see exactly what it is that they are doing and everything else. I was able to go online, and some of the things that have been said is that we have been doing nothing with this location, and there's nothing. Well, what they have, just so you know, is that they have a thing called a LSRP, all right? And what an LSRP is a licensed site remediation professional. What they do is that it's an experienced private sector environmental professional that is licensed by the state of New Jersey and hired by the responsible parties, which is IKEA, to direct and oversee environmental investigations and remedial actions in New Jersey in accordance with applicable rules and regulations. All right? The LSRP often can expedite the remediation process, which typically was not possible prior to the creation of the LSRP program. Basically, I found this online. The reason I know about that these exist, all right, is that I have to deal with that in my own job. Under SERA, which is SRA, the responsible parties, which is IKEA, are required to hire an LSRP to oversee and direct the necessary site remediation activities, including conducting the required investigation and completing appropriate remedial actions in accordance with the applicable regulations. There's a whole rest of the commercial over here, but basically what it comes down to is that property since 2021 has had a case with it, all right? And the case that's involved with it involves specifically, there's a number of items that are with it, but for those of us, especially those of us that are on the Environmental Commission that are sitting back there, it really has to do with that gully in the back. And the term that they used for it is, that's on my other piece of paper, but here we go, sorry. It's a drainage swell is what they call it, all right? And just so you know, if you go online in the state of New Jersey, right? And you do a little poking around, and unfortunately for those of us that don't come and just like to stand up and talk about things, if you know what you're looking for, you can find this, all right? And this is directly off the State of New Jersey website. The initial evaluation was conducted on 3/22. The date the remediation was required to be initiated was 3/24 of 2021. The LSRP was identified in 8/31 of 2022. The remedial investigation is slated to be completed, this is the investigation, on 3/23 of 2026. So they are well underway, and there's a process for this. So expect, unless they have some type of spill or some other environmental issue happening, this is a process that has to run now until completion. The remedial action is due to be complete. The regulatory time frame is 3/23 of 2027. The mandatory time frame is 3/23 of 2029. What that basically means, if they got till 2029, they'll have to go for an extension, but before it becomes problematic to them, they have till that period of time to get this done. All right? That is part of what happens with this. So at this point, we've had a lot of agencies out there, gone back and forth. I was contacted by their lawyer and their LSRP to go through this, because frankly, the more and more if you can send people over there all the time, but if you're sending them there on a wild goose chase, it becomes contra to their ongoing operations. Basically, it's costing them money because we're being a pain in the rear end, which is okay. We can do that. We can be a pain, but we have to have a valid cause for going. That's what this really comes down to. And what we have is we have a history of people making complaints but not filing charges. And all that starts adding up, and they're saying, well, what do you have? We have one summons on the noise side, and that was issued by our police department a couple of weeks ago. So I'm not trying to throw this out there as a warning. I'm not trying to get us there, but we have to be careful about what we do. We want these people not to go out of business. You see it online. We want these guys out. Listen, we don't want them out, because if they're out, who do you think is getting stuck with the bill? We don't want them out. We want them to comply. So we want them to do what they're supposed to do to get, back into compliance. Now, a couple of people put things out there that say, DEP, call this number, call that number. You know what? That's actually not a bad thing. That's a good thing. You see something that's wrong, you call, they come. That's what winds up happening. On the noise side is handled. Now, we just talked about the state. The noise side is handled by the county, and it's between Somerset County and Middlesex County, and Somerset County gave me this, community noise enforcement. Now, Bob Scher is actually working on trying to find a way that we can have something that has a little bit of teeth in it, that we can go back at them. But the bottom line is, as far as what's going on right now, if they make a loud noise, you can call the police on it, which you can do, but if you come there, you have to be ready, because if the cops are there and they don't hear nothing, they can't just put it through based on your word. You have to file the complaint. And I'm saying this for everyone out there in TV land over there. That's what this is for. Because I think what they're telling us is that they're earnest into being into compliance. That may be true, that may not be true. Our next steps that we have here is that we did talk to their LSRP. Michael and I met with them, or at a Zoom meeting with them last night, and and I threw it out there. I said, listen, noise, huge. I said, every time you do something, someone's going to call, guaranteed. So you got to find a way, figure a way, take care of it. He says he's going to send in an application to get the noise taken care of. I hope he does, because it's not going to go away. It has to get more and more into compliance. They say that they have air permits and they're in compliance. One of the things that we are going to looking to do, which I hate that term, is we have Najarian's our environmental lawyer. We have a box full of stuff. We're going to let them take a quick cruise through it, with Lenny and stuff like that. Just make sure that what they have is applicable to what they're doing and what comes out of there. As far as the stack, they say they had a stack test. I asked about that, whether they did or whether they didn't, or whether they're still in compliance. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. That's why we have to go through the air permits. That's why we're going to work with Najarian and those guys just to make sure everything is right. We got to we're past the he said, she said. The documents gotta lead us. They're going to lead us to a conclusion one way. But at the end of the day, we want compliance, and that's what we're working to achieve. And it's not fast, but I can tell you that they're about 6 steps into this, and like I said, they have to continue their way through that. And if they start missing things, then we have recourse. But right now, as long as they're doing what they are and they're doing well testing and all the rest of this, and the LSRP, see, the LSRP works for the state and reports to the state, and that's where the license comes from. So they're obligated by law to do the right thing. So as long as the LSRP is signing off on this stuff, and it's an independent firm, it's not, we know who they are. They gave me a documentation on it. It's a company called Brockerhoff Environmental Services from Forked River. The LSRP is a Christine Salvatore, who we spoke with. As long as they're saying that they're in compliance and they're moving towards achieving their goals, that's what we have. That's where we're at, and we have to allow them to operate their business. However, I'm going to say this one more time: if you see a spill, if you see a sheen, if you see something that's not right, call. It becomes a case. It goes to the state, and that's how it gets handled. We're doing what we can do here, but we're limited by the fact that this is now a state function, and it's under their guidance. So that's kind of all I have to say on that one. And that's my report. Oh, and one last thing. We do have an executive session tonight. We are talking, one of the things that's happening here is that we are going to be, moving forward on our quest to hire a full-time code enforcer, zoning officer. This is more or less a department reorganization. It's not a reflection on anybody that works there. It's just the fact that we realize that we need more time with somebody looking at things in the field, as well as the paperwork end of it, to get these things pushed through, because the paperwork end, to me, is where we're really behind, and that's where we need the emphasis. All right? And it's a full-time position. That's what we're looking to hire. Okay, that's all I have to say. Mike?
Thanks, Mayor. So a very special thank you goes to all the borough volunteers and our borough staff who helped make the second annual volunteer fair a huge success. It was back on May 3rd. Thank you to we actually had over 600 borough residents who attended the event. None of this could have happened without the exceptional leadership and the coordination of Barbara Benson. She spearheaded the fair once again. Additional thanks goes to Barbara's Fair Committee, which includes Lee Puandel, Library Director Chrissy George, and also Sergeant Jolene Riccio. Thanks to Lenny for your team. Not only did they do the setup, they did the cleanup. The committee received a donation of 18 gift cards from local restaurants and from Superfood, totaling $845. These were all used as door prizes. Refreshments were also donated. They were all donated. That includes from Superfood, Ellery's, and Dunkin' Donuts West, which is near Mulgar School. Thank you again to everybody. Congratulations to all the Police Department Award recipients. I know they all left. Congratulations to Captain Craig on his upcoming retirement. I am very happy to announce that the Middlesex Library Local History Room will be opening on Monday, June 16th at 6 p.m. There will be a gathering in the library community room starting at 6, and it'll highlight the process and the details about the room, and it's open for everybody to attend. Our next Middlesex pillar will be longtime library board volunteer Beverly Weber. She'll be presented that award at our next meeting here on May 27th. All of the presentations and documents shared at last week's Victor Crowell Park meeting were posted on the borough website on May the 8th, so they're all up. Councilman Carnes and myself asked Telly's from TK1 Solutions, for a quote to make live streaming council meetings a reality. The quote is for $4,418. That includes all the equipment needed, the setup, the laptop, everything, and we can live stream council meetings in this room. I asked Carolyn to add this amount to our capital budget for this summer's votes. Two last things. I have two things to get consensus on tonight. First of which, Attorney Corsini has successfully prepared our lease for the rescue squad. I'm sorry, for the rec center, which is owned by the rescue squad. We all discussed this probably a month ago in executive session. Councilman Doty and I we actually received it, reviewed it. It mirrors everything we discussed collectively in that executive session.
Along those lines also, Lenny looked at it, made sure they're responsible for everything's good.
Paragraph 7. Yep. So Lenny chimed in as well from stuff we've done there for the building. So I would now like for Attorney Corsini to send it over to the rescue squad's attorney, if you guys all agree. So do we have a consensus, Bobby? Yep.
All right, you got it.
Yep. Good? Okay. Mm-hmm. Number 2, Middlesex Elks reached out and would like our permission for them to host a car show in the back of Mountain View Park, preferably in the flying field. The proposed date is June the 29th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The last time they did this was 2018. They want to make this their biggest fundraiser for the year, and they are desperate to raise money. If yes, they will apply for both the social affairs permit, and I may be leaving a permit out here, but Linda will keep me honest, an assembly permit. They will work with the police department, recreation, DPW, the Board of Health, which includes the county, and I'm assuming the clerk's office as well, for all the required inspections. They plan on getting some food trucks or even cooking their own food for sale, depending on what they can pull together. They will also plan to sell both adult and non-adult beverages. They will comply with all of our rules and requirements, and they just need our permission to get the process started.
Well, it's the process. There's two questions, right? One's the process, and one is, do we want to allow them to have alcoholic beverages there?
Right. My 2 cents is I think we should. We've had the Elks, they do the Winter Wonderland Festival. They've stopped doing the food truck festival for those couple of years. Our food truck festival had the Elks as well, selling beers and seltzers. The bonfire just passed, whenever that was, December, January, and Community Day, which again is not happening this year. But so they, over the last 2 or 3 years, they've sold beverages at all of our events.
The only question I have, Mike, is probably Lady can answer is that area going to be okay for a staging area? Are we going to be staging there for the...
Right. I guess
it could be in the other parking lot. Again, it's just one of the two. Yeah, I think the flying field's always a good option.
I guess
bathrooms, Glenn, would that be
When is it, Mike?
June 29th?
I,
They would? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, just one of the questions I have is are we allowed to do it? Because this event is not our event, it's their event.
And Mayor, in addition to that, I think Lenny's trying to be flexible as always, but we do have a lot of construction happening starting this summer in Mountain View. Not to say we couldn't handle this, but it might be a little complicated time. I think they'd be better off in the parking lot where the tennis courts are, I think, because you're going to be staging more in the flying field, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
In the parking lot.
That's fine.
Yeah. The parking lot,
Right. Obviously, the back of the park it's either or, right? I think they've done it before in 2018. I'm not sure. They didn't have alcohol.
So I guess the question is, Chris, are we allowed to do that? Like, is it different because it's not our event?
Be surprised how often I get this question. Depends on how your event ordinance is written. We can go to the videotape here, so to speak. I'm dealing with the same issue now simultaneously in a different town, and it is not allowed in that town. But it really is at your discretion as you put it in the ordinance. And we caught a little cold here because I didn't have the ordinance up, but I can get you. If you want to move on to your next item, I will look and give you advice.
All right, we'll
Okay,
come
so
back to
try to
that.
get
Let's come back to that,
services
but
instantly as
outside of the alcohol, let's deal with everything else.
Everything else I don't have a problem with. It's just whether, are we allowed to do the alcohol?
My only concern is bathrooms.
And Lenny said, as of now, they'll be done.
They're gonna, as of right now, there's a lot available for restrooms in the contract right now, legally. With Remington and Vernon, so worst case,
They can rent portage.
They're gonna have to rent if they can't get them. They're not done.
Because we've done all of our events in the last 2 or 3 years, our bathrooms have been.
Is it charitable? Are they a charitable organization?
They're
LPL?
not 501c3.
And that's what.
They're C8,
Yeah, Joe would know.
which is fraternal.
But they help other causes.
Yes.
Then that's good with me. If they're helping other causes, which helps our residents, which helps the
Do you
borough.
issue this permit?
Yeah, they actually put it together a
Okay.
quick flyer, and actually on the bottom it says proceeds to be used for community activities. They do obviously a lot for the community.
Yeah, we should
Just
just as long as.
Is this a permit you issue under the,
Social affairs.
Maybe we should put
not
something.
what about use of parks?
Hang on, guys, one meeting at a time.
Allowed in our ordinance, I don't think. That's why I
So,
understand it.
so basically, we don't know whether the ordinance says we
Say
could do
if they
it.
want to allow it.
Okay,
We have time before we have to issue this.
Well, they'd have to
because there's
apply.
a permitting provision under the use of parks. But you're saying social affairs as
It
well.
would be, they
I would like
apply
some time
under
to
social
research this,
affairs.
Mayor. It's the first time hearing of it, in fairness to me, so.
Let's,
In our code, it is.
just let it go. Can we get this organized by the next meeting?
Alcohol.
Yeah, they could
Okay.
say.
Right, so Linda and I will confer, no one knows more than Linda, as I say, get you an answer in a day, by tomorrow, let's say.
Okay.
But I want to get you the right answer, and there's a parks permit here, there's a
No, that's
social
okay.
care permit.
All right,
Linda-
so
yeah.
the event,
Yeah.
so the
let's-
event itself, you guys don't have a problem with,
That's
right?
I just want to get
Narrow
everything but
issue
the
alcohol.
alcohol.
Everything but the booze,
Okay,
right
That's
now.
good? Everybody?
And possible conflict with construction, where we are, you know.
Well, you might have to change the location a little bit, just shuffle it around.
Would it be, it's just bathroom, unfortunately now, construction is only the bathroom. There's no playground construction.
It may not even be the bathroom right now.
Okay,
That's why I'm having an issue right now.
okay. But the playground, obviously, that's all.
But, I mean,
No, I think.
The old bathroom.
For June.
I think the last time they wanted to do it. was
They are.
Ice cream, they
Yeah.
never did alcohol
They're
in the
still
car show. in the park.
But they-
I think they had it.
They're not very,
Yeah, they don't,
I mean-
they haven't been on.
I mean, just,
I'd rather you have them, have the budget for portage.
Porta Johns.
right, okay, well, we could do that, but let me ask you a question, say the construction goes bad, is there another park we could use?
Cook Field.
Cook Field, you could use, what about Shimchock or Haverstick?
That's Cook. yeah.
Parking is a problem.
Cook, I would just say Cook would be, I would limit it to Cook.
Car show, right? So they're gonna want to drive
Yeah.
all their vehicles.
On the grass.
All over the,
Parking, there's no parking.
Football field.
So, back parking lot here, maybe. I don't know as far as alcohol in the back.
There's no booze with that.
There's no booth that. I would say from parking lot, but then they can
They'd
park
want
in
a
the back,
donation.
not in the
Yeah.
front.
Well, listen, all we could do, tell them at this point is, this is what we're up against. I mean, it's not that we don't want to do it, but you got to let them know is that, hey, this could all go bad. You know, look at the playground, we're expecting that to be done.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, so as far as construction, when it's bathrooms only, possibly. Okay.
If it's done here, people go walk over to the house.
No, that's the Legion.
That's the Legion.
Legion.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah. I was gonna say, too bad they couldn't.
In Newtown?
So the outscape, yeah, they don't have big enough parking lot for parking.
Maybe the Legion.
They don't have big enough parking lot to do it in their own place.
So,
They have
listen-
big
With the
parking lot. They have 120 cars. Yeah, but if you put 30 cars in there and then people are coming, I don't know, they could, yeah.
Well, you know what, at this point, we're okay with it, but they got to know.
We gotta work on the
They got
alcohol
to know
and
the
the question
alcohol,
mark
and there's a question of construction.
It's
Okay.
part-time in there, yes.
It's 4 times. That would be the best, if they could do it at home. If you get a couple more weeks of rain, you're gonna be, it's supposed to rain all next week.
Yeah, either that or push it back.
Do it in the fall.
Yeah.
Do it in the
Okay.
fall. All right, so,
All right.
what else you got, Mike?
That's it.
That's it? Okay, next I think is Councilman Carnes.
Speaking of the volunteer, yes, thank you, Mayor. Speaking of the volunteer fair, which again, thank you for everyone who ran that, especially Ms. Benson, amazing, and everyone who helped clean up and take down. We got 6 applications for the film commission, and currently rewriting the ordinance to my ability before I pass it on to Mr. Porcini to incorporate a 3-person commission with 2 alternates, or 5 in total. Then we'll move forward from there. For the seniors, the senior messenger came out from May for June. Appointments are necessary at the senior center. If you need help, something that's beyond your normal, you can stop by, make an appointment. We have PAAD or Senior Gold, PAD or Gold, or state-funded programs that are eligible for seniors and individuals with disabilities to save money on the prescription drugs costs. They have tryout for ukulele, trips to Point Pleasant. In honor of Older American Month, it's a disco groove celebration. So to get ready to flip the script on Asian with the groovy disco scene celebration for Older Americans Month, break out all the bell bottoms and celebrate the Asian means staying vibrant, bold, and full of life. It's time to show the world that no matter how many years we've danced through, we've still got the moves.
You talking about me?
And you are handsome and a smooth mover. Enjoy the music, the entertainment, and giveaways. Register May 16th, $10 a person. And I'm guessing you're going to be attending. AARPR driver.
He's trying to find his bell bottom.
You wear bell bottoms, I will too. I promise you. Ground for Sculpture. Senior Farmers Market, Nutrition Program, the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program, the STTEK, the SPETEC workshop, where it's Smart Driver Tech. It's a 90-minute workshop offering an interactive way to stay up to date with your latest safety technology and your current and future cars, and how to use all the knickknacks and paddywhacks and bells and whistles that go with your vehicle. Huntington Hills presents Swing. Classic games come to life, an interactive musical, so you can go check out a musical in your bell bottoms. May 2025 calendar is in there, the June 2025 calendar. Pick up a copy. It looks like they had an amazing time out at Duke's Farm Orchid Range, and they went to a geology museum. That's amazing. I would like to thank Mr. Kranz for all his leadership for the Culture and Arts Committee. He was awesome where he could be awesome, and he's greatly appreciated for all the time he's given to the borough. So thank you, Mr. Kranz. And Mr. Shaw will be taking over as chairman. And this Sunday, which due to a few issues going on, but this Sunday there is a Color and Flower Festival where you'll bring your families. Check it. If I was a good councilman, I would have the flyer open, but I do not. But it's going to be on the calendar. We'll forward it to the You're from Middlesex and other pages to get it out there. But it's this Sunday, 12 to 3. You get to throw colors, plant flowers, do all a bunch of cool stuff. Film commission. I'm good.
Done?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, Councilman DeSenza.
We have a recreation report. Baseball, softball, highly successful, 129 registered with 11 teams.
That's good.
May 30th, the Somerset Patriots game is sold out, 110 tickets, but they think they might be able to get more. If anybody still wants to go, please contact the director. She will try to get more tickets, but sold out. Good things. Memorial Day Parade coming up on the 26th. They're looking for marches, classic cars, and convertibles. I have offered my wife's red buggy. I don't know if you would like to ride in it. You're more than welcome to ride it, or you can walk, whatever you'd like to do. But
That'll be a game day decision. How's that?
Yeah, if it's raining.
If it's raining, I'm in the car.
Like open top convertible.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Hometown Hero banners closed. We have 30, and they will be up for the July 4th holiday. Thank you
All
very
right.
much. Okay, had a meeting today with the Middlesex County
SWAC.
SWAT meeting. Not much going on, I guess. There'll be paper shredding tomorrow, Friday, at Piscataway at their offices, so we have paper we want shredded. Tonnage grants were received on time. I guess you did that, too. They were very happy with that. The grants, the MCUA grants will be awarded tomorrow. And that's about it.
All right, thank you. Councilman DeCino.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, wait.
I do have one other at the meeting for recreation. Point came up, and it's, I know our administrator answered it, has to do with the park and the Green Acres funding. One of our residents asked if courts 5 and 6 could be set aside just for Middlesex residents. And you can't do that because they're Green Acres funds. But they also complained, and maybe we can get to the police, because we have the dog park there, people let their dogs out of the cars and unleashed walk over to the park. And they're doing their business on the tennis courts and in the parking lot, and they're not picking it up. So, and we have like 4 or 5 stations there with bags, garbage pails and everything else, but it's just, they said the courts are getting to be that you can't even play on them. So maybe we could ask, and I'm assuming probably like dinner time, after dinner is probably when this is happening. People take their dogs out for a little walk at night, take them down the park.
No idea?
So I have not gotten one complaint
Okay.
about poop on the tennis court, about poop on the tennis court, any of that. I have not. I know when I used to bring my dog to, I think the resident's concern was they are allowing the dog to also run around in there. I know when I used to bring my dog to the dog park, I would open the door and she knew where the dog park was. She would walk, right?
Yeah, no, they walk there, but on their way,
they do.
They make a deposit.
Yeah, in the resident's defense, if nobody is in the tennis courts, I've seen residents, and I'm not, there's nobody in there. Why say something, right? But they have never let their dog in there and use the bathroom. I've never had to clean anything. My guys have never had to clean.
Okay. I'm just telling you what,
Okay.
and he's pretty active guy who reported it, so.
Yeah.
Just
All right.
bring it to your attention.
Michael, do you want to?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want Councilman, I'll mention that to the Chief of Police as well. Maybe we can do some, a little more, keep an eye on the thing. I think one thing that's confusing, that's kind of related to this problem, is that our parks are technically open dawn to dusk, yet we have lighted courts and people are there at night. So we're going to have to, I think about how to clarify what when
dusk
people are in
is.
the park and what's going on. I think it's a little confusing.
Good point.
Okay. You good, Joe?
Yep.
Bobby?
Yeah, I just want to mention, we're talking about the bathrooms and in the park. I don't know if everyone's aware, but I spoke to Lenny today. We're having an issue with the contractor that we hired to do the work at the park. He didn't put his bond up. He was the only guy who applied, right? Who put a bid in, Len?
Yes, sir.
He hasn't put his bond money up, so we have to release him. So now we're back at square one. We don't have a contractor.
So what does that entail? You have to go.
I copied Chris on the email. They have received a legal letter from Remington and Vernon. Remington and Vernon's recommendation is to, if they don't comply within that date, Chris, I think you saw the date they put, we can now release them and we would have to go out to bid again.
Yep.
Remington and Vernon is confident that we would get somebody else. They have a couple contractors that are willing to take on the job. So,
But what about time frame?
Yeah, it would cost us no extra money. It's built into that whole big plan from RDE. And time frame, they could still look to get it done in that time
our issue is the bathroom, right, Caroline? Because we have to have that bathroom on site by the end of when?
The bathroom will be on site by
I've never, was that?
maybe not working.
You gotta take delivery of it, right?
Yeah.
We
If
have
we
them.
started, if we had
yes,
demolition done,
I
would that
told
count
you,
as
we
project
discussed this,
started?
so,
Or it actually has to be delivered?
Well, the demolition and the delivery are two separate things. The company that is prefabricating the bathroom is fine. We're not having any issues with them, and they are on schedule to deliver it by the end of this month. So it's a fine line between, because this is all tied up in a grant, and the grant project is, you know, both it is delivered, but it's not hooked up. Are we far enough through the project to be considered by the grant that, you know, we've done it? We've taken delivery of the bathroom. Let's just hope we can keep pushing along and that we get this
Right.
resolved for June, but we're keeping an eye on it, yeah.
Keep our good faith effort moving and get another contractor.
Okay.
yeah, I've never struggled to get a bid, like, a bond like this from, I mean, how long have we been chasing them, Len?
I've had a lot of red flags.
6 weeks, 2 months?
Yes, I personally called at least once a week.
It is,
I had red flags when I had personal conversations with them, nickel and diming for what they're making on this project, which is a substantial amount of money, which I think it was overbid. They were the only one.
I'm not sure anyone has struggled the way we struggled on the Mountain View project.
Correct.
I
It's
mean,
cursed.
it's years, yeah.
Cursed.
yeah, I mean, RV has really worked hard on this, and I get emails from Priscilla
Mm-hmm.
every other day. You're on them.
All right, so you guys are on this bit for right now?
We are. Yes.
Okay.
We're working on it.
All right.
Okay, a couple things. Milling and paving of Borough Hall and South Lincoln tomorrow, possibly, weather permitting. So we're close.
Milling and
The South
paving
Lincoln.
tomorrow on Thursday and paving Friday, weather permitting.
So,
All right,
I mean,
and
the
the
worst
weather-
case next week.
Supposed to rain all week, so Army Corps did call me. They did say it's supposed to be clear Monday and Tuesday, and Wednesday maybe, so they need 2 days for South Lincoln. So if paving gets pushed, it'll be Monday and Tuesday. But milling will be in tomorrow on both fronts.
Okay, some other things, the tree farm irrigation has been installed. Not operational yet, but we're close. Also, Lenny has a meeting tomorrow at Middlesex County in reference to the one-armed bandit recycling. So we're moving forward there. Also, we're milling and paving First, Second, and Seneca. In the next couple of weeks, they're finishing the concrete work now, the sidewalks in, I'm sorry, the curbs and gutters.
Buddy?
Talking about the rain, the Parks Department is behind on grass cutting because of the rain. Also, losing a few guys, some of the part-timers, now we have full-timers doing it, and then we're getting back to the situation we were years ago. I think moving forward, we have to raise the pay for those part-timers. I mean, no one's staying for that little bit of money. And we have something we can think about next year.
Okay.
Or you guys can think about next year.
Wow. There's the handoff right there.
As far as the road department, they have rebuilt 10 basins. They're continuing log splitting. They used to boat at the lake for 2 weeks prior to the storm. 6 tons of blacktop for potholes. 78 street signs have been repaired or replaced throughout town. For J-Lub, the May 14th meeting was canceled. Next meeting is the 28th. We have 2 applications. So the last 2 meetings have been canceled, no applications. But we have 2 coming up on the 28th. Environmental, thanks to Lenny for coordinating with Claire, pick up the rain barrels from our watershed ambassador. On May 10th, the Environmental Commission was involved in the Greenbrook Park cleanup. And now they also have a poster contest, the benefit of trees. This is to encourage residents of Middlesex to plant trees. Submissions for this are due May 31st. The information is on the website. There's a green tea meeting on May 19th at 7 p.m. and our next environmental meeting is the 20th at 7 p.m. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Councilman Doty.
Short tonight for me. Just the fire report. I think everybody's got it. It's in the packet. For April 29 calls, there were 12 alarm system activations last month. They're unintentional. For the year, I was just looking at some of the percentages. That's 25.4 of their calls where they just go for basically a false alarm. They had 4 motor vehicle accidents with injuries, 1 with none. They had 1 mulch fire, 1 cooking fire that was confined to the container, and 1 building fire. Chief sent over a little synopsis of some stuff that went on. On the 20th, a resident of Mountain Avenue reported 2-car motor vehicle collision in the front of 715 Mountain Avenue. 1 driver trapped. Chief Choman showed up. He confirmed 1 driver was trapped and would need to be extricated. Engine 82-1 and Rescue 82 arrived, and simultaneously they began to assess the scene. Firefighters and Bound EMS began patient care, and they were able to get him out, and he was sent to the hospital from there. April 22nd, there were multiple 911 callers reported a motor vehicle accident with an overturned motor vehicle at the intersection of Union Avenue and Orchard. The driver of the overturned vehicle, they were out by the time they got there. The fire department units arrived on the scene, secured the hazard, and assisted the police with that one. The 25th, he said they were dispatched to mutual aid into Southbound Brook for 2 structures on fire on Lincoln Street. 82-1, which is Lincoln, responded and assisted with fire suppression and overhaul of both structures for just under 2.5 hours before being released back to the borough. That's all he gave for the highlights for the month. A couple of little things.
Enough?
Yep.
All right, and Councilman Griggs, as you all know, is under the weather. He was going to gut it out and come here, but I figured we didn't need the plague, so it was better that he would stay home. All right, administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Regarding the 2025 budget, I would just like to thank our CFO, Carolyn Benson, for her hard work and dedication, and the entire management team on a job well done. It is a challenging budget year, and there will be more of them, but we are moving in the right direction. I attended the wonderful National Police Week ceremony on Monday morning, so I want to thank the Middlesex Police Department for the invitation and for including me in that. Also, I want to note the volunteer fair was a big hit, and I have to say the tent was genius. I think it was one of our best moves. We're going to get a lot of use out of it. It was great for that day. Let's see here. As the mayor noted, there was an impressive turnout at the second public participation event for the Victor Crowell Park Master Plan, and that was Tuesday, May 6th. I want to thank Recreation and Public Works for making the annex building and the park such a workable and attractive site for the meeting. I think everyone was very impressed. The council president mentioned about the new local history room, and that'll begin again June 16th at 6 o'clock in the community room. We're all looking forward to that. Keeping up with the considerable rain this month, Public Works has been working really hard on getting grass cut, mulching, and doing all kinds of maintenance and beautification projects in our parks and around the borough. The gazebo at Mountain View Park, for instance, now sports flags and bunting and is all ready for Memorial Day. We expect that South Lincoln Avenue will be open to traffic very soon following the successful testing of the floodgates, relocation of utilities, and then the paving of the street. This project area and the paving of Borough Hall's parking lot are both scheduled for this week, as was mentioned, and if weather forces it, it'll be next week. Just wanted to mention, for the record, Zoning and Code Enforcement Officer Tyler Grinnell resigned from the borough effective last Wednesday, May 7th, and the process of selecting a replacement for what is now a full-time position is underway. Resolutions this evening include authorization for changing the status of certain properties under the Senior Citizen and Disabled Person Tax Deductions provision. Ooh, that's a mouthful. Authorization for the submission of an application to the New Jersey Department of Transportation's 2025 Transportation Alternatives Program, which is known as TAP. And this would be for continuing our streetscape improvements along Route 28. Authorization for the mayor to accept the proposal from the Jerry and Associates to create an environmental resources inventory for the borough. We looking for authorization for the appointment of my NC Bracinos as alternative deputy registrar effective immediately, and to accept the resignation of Police Captain Greg Komisky effective June 1 of this year. The agenda workshop this evening will involve a discussion of invasive species and amendments to both towing and massage ordinance. In the executive session this evening, there will be a personnel discussion involving the reorganization and staffing of zoning and code enforcement.
That's it? All right. Let's move on. Privilege of the floor. Let's open I need a motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Anyone wishing to step up?
Robert Gore, 160 Farragut Avenue. I just want to publicly thank Lenny and his DPW staff for taking care of Happenstick Park. And thank you, Lenny, for giving back to me at the prompt time. I'm here also tonight regarding the borough tree in front of 150 Farragut Avenue. As I mentioned approximately 2 months ago, I was here regarding tree branches that are falling down. And they're falling on the artist's property and on the street and also cars. I was told that somebody would get back to me. I have not heard anything from the borough, and even up to the other day, branches are falling on my windshield, car vehicles, and the lawn, and public streets. So I picked up branches on my property as well as the public street. Is there any resolvement to that matter?
Off the top of my head, Bob, I don't know. I would have to check with the Shade Tree Commission because that's obviously where that would have wound up.
Bill, I believe almost 2 months ago, you said you would get back to me regarding
150 Farragut.
It was 150
Yeah,
Farragut?
they were in front of 150 Farragut Avenue. The tree is actually a root, like I said, the roadway. You can see 3 holes at the base of the tree. And I was advised by the owner of 150 Farragut that at least 3 to 4 times tree pruning was taking place. Well, I don't know what the cost is per time they came out there, but they're still constantly coming down. Branches are either a ½ inch to 3/8 coming down. They're not small branches. So it looks like a live tree now, but there is dead branches that are up there. And I can say people always walk that Farragut Avenue going to the Happenstick Park, and there's a lot of younger people with strollers, younger kids, that they play all kinds of soccer games and baseball there. And I think it's not only just, it's a nuisance problem, and as well as a public safety problem. About one of those branches, they're going to hurt someone, and also damaging property, and also vehicles on my yard, and also at 150.
Okay.
If somebody can please get back to me with a report, please.
Absolutely. We'll get someone on the Shade Tree Commission will get back to him. Shade Tree. Bob, yeah. Okay. Do you have this information?
I can find it.
Okay. Anyone else? Quit a break. All right. Motion to close?
Motion. Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Linda?
We have Resolution 128, 2025, acceptance of standing reports. Resolution 129, 2025, authorizing the release of a reverter provision in the deed to the Middlesex Presbyterian Church located at 1190 Mountain Avenue. Resolution 130, 2025, approving a block party to the residents of 300 Green Avenue on June 7, 2025. Resolution 131, 2025, acknowledging the change in status for certain properties under the Senior Citizens, Disabled Person, Veterans Tax Deductions, Block 153, Lot 28. Resolution 132, 2025, acknowledging the change in status for certain properties under the Senior Citizens, Disabled Persons Tax Deductions for Block 187, Lot 44, 3.01. Resolution 133, 2025, accepting the resignation of Tyler Grinnell of Hampton, New Jersey, as the part-time Director of Code Enforcement and Zoning, effective May 7, 2025. Resolution 134, 2025, authorizing the submission of an application to the New Jersey Department of Transportation's 2025 Transportation Alternatives Set-Aside Program, TAP, for the Route 28 Streetscape and Pedestrian Safety Improvement Project. Resolution 135, 2025, authorizing the mayor to accept the proposal from Najarian Associates for the creation of an environmental resource inventory. Resolution 136, 2025, appointing Mayancy Racinos alternate deputy registrar at an annual salary of $50,500 effective immediately. Resolution 137, 2025, requesting permission for the dedication by rider for Commodity Resale System Trust Fund. Resolution 138, 2025, authorizing the purchase of pole banner brackets, decorative banners, and holiday decor from Holiday Outdoor Decor in the amount of $55,969.19. Resolution 139, 2025, accepting the retirement of Captain Craig Komsky from the Police Department effective June 1, 2025. Resolution 140, 2025, hiring Carlos Gonzalez Martinez of Hillsborough, New Jersey, and Benjamin Perone of Middlesex, New Jersey, as permanent part-time sanitation employees in the Department of Public Works, effective May 14, 2025.
You need to pull that.
Okay.
The last one pulled.
The last one pulled,
Okay.
140.
Anything else? 138, you said?
For me, yeah.
Okay, 138.
Yeah, and I was going to pull 138 also, so we're good.
Okay, got it.
All right. So, any discussion on the other ones?
Yeah, 137, is that just for the, that we don't pay the taxes on the gasoline, diesel?
No, that's getting money, right?
So that's basically saying that dedication by rider in the trust fund is saying that the money we collect from the towns we bill for using the gas pump is then used to pay the bills regarding to it. So it's not using taxpayer money.
It's a revolver.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
It's like a sweep account, basically.
Just want to make sure.
Okay, I need motion, second, to approve all the rest of them, no discussion. Roll call.
Council President Carnahan?
Yes.
Councilman Carnes?
Yes.
Councilman DeSenza?
Yes.
Councilman DeCino?
Yes.
Councilman Doty?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Resolution 138.
Resolution 138, 2025, we need a motion, because we...
Motion,
Motion.
second. Okay,
I just want to, this is money left over from the streetscape,
yep,
so we're using this for the poles, for the hometown heroes.
and some Christmas decoration. If you don't use it, you lose it.
2019.
It's grant money, it's not borough money.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, it's a smart use, and it's going to really...
Good pressure.
It's good. Listen, it's perfect. Why let it go? Why let it go and get nothing for it when it's free?
Middlesex will be a winter wonderland.
Well, let's not get crazy. I could live without the snow.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? That's it? Okay. Roll call, please.
Council President Carnahan?
Yes.
Councilman Carnes?
Yes.
Councilman DeSenza?
Yes.
Councilman DeCino?
Yes.
And Councilman Doty?
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 140. I need a motion.
Second.
Second. I know the reason why. We all do. Someone has to recuse himself, so roll call, please.
Council President Carnahan?
Yes.
Councilman Carnes?
Yes.
Councilman DeSenza?
Yes.
Councilman DeCino?
Yes.
Councilman Doty?
Recusing myself.
Okay.
All right, let's move down. Non-consent agenda.
I have Resolution 141, 2025, payroll claims.
Motion. Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Council President Carnahan?
Yes.
Councilman Carnes?
Yes.
Councilman DeSenza?
Yes.
Councilman DeCino?
Yes.
And Councilman Doty?
Yes.
All right, good. Agenda workshop item. Number 1, invasive species. Who's taking us through this?
Well, it's just a matter, I mean, I don't know if Claire wants to speak on it also, but we need to, see, we need these points, if we're going to create this ordinance, whether we're going to enforce it or not, this needs to be, we get points for our environmental, for our green, for our sustainable New Jersey, which in turn will help us get grant money down the road, so. I don't know how far we want to get and how involved we want to get with this, but we either need to create this ordinance or move on. I mean, we can't just keep talking about this. So
Well, the issue is that it's pretty widespread, and I mean, you'd have to enforce it for stuff that people can readily buy. You know, you can just go to Home Depot and buy these things. You know, and how do you enforce? I mean, and I don't know, that's where I always get hung up is, why have a rule if you can't enforce it, you know? So, because, I mean, we got a bunch of these things that we know of, and it's like, you know, what are you going to do?
Well, we looked into the bamboo since, and Chris asked whether we should do that or not. There's not been one summons issued since inception.
Right. And but how much, do we have a lot of bamboo in town?
Yeah, that seems...
There is more than one.
More on public
Oh, yeah.
land.
I know the administrator, I asked to look into this.
Yeah, actually, I came across as acting zoning and code enforcement officer, I came across some correspondence where our recent code enforcement officer had been working with a resident who had bamboo. They had to spend several $1,000s to contain and mediate the bamboo. And this neighbor was worried because his neighbor has some bamboo. So I saw some correspondence. So I guess outside of doing a court summons, our enforcement officer was working with in this case, a resident, on containing the bamboo in this person's yard. That was the only case I've heard of, but
Well,
you'd want to know that.
I mean, but do we have a lot of it in town? Bamboo? I know we got that one part in
Well, we have
Victor
some-
Crowd. There's
Victor Crowd, yeah, on one of our parks. That's, I don't know, the people that have been here longer want to comment on that.
Claire, you want
Ashland.
anything?
Mayor, Jack, can we ask, I mean, Claire and Mike, they're both here from the Environmental Commission.
Yeah.
If you guys want to come up and just make some general comments or answer questions or both. I think they're the experts. And Claire, maybe it's new buildings, new approvals for commercial
That
properties,
we can take care of in J-Lo, I know that.
The new building thing,
or even new homes.
new homes, but
Yeah.
there's been other commercial places that have put in hundreds of invasive species. How much is Lenny gonna have to spend to get that bamboo out? And it's just gonna, other problems will arise if we don't take care of something now. So like if we're going to keep allowing invasive species to be planted, it's gonna cause problems and more money down the road.
Okay, and I understand that when someone's putting up a house, they have to have a site plan, they have to have, they have drawings and they got to plan according to the drawings and all the rest of that. But what happens with Bob Edwards goes out and he buys a hibiscus or something like that's on your endangered list or whatever, and he doesn't know any better, he just buys it, puts it in, looks lovely, and now all of a sudden, do you enforce that? Do you let it go? What do you do?
Well, it would have been nice to have something to be able to enforce for commercial property when they put in like over 300 burning bushes. Because our woods are pretty clean of that right now, but in 10 years they're going to be invasive. It's going to be everywhere.
The burning bush.
Yeah, any invasive species is going to spread. It just doesn't say where it's going.
Isn't the church loaded with them things?
Many places.
Yeah, but I'm saying, so, I mean, at this point, Claire, I mean, are we better off just sitting there and saying, look, we want an ordinance that if it's there, but anything that's going to be built that has a site plan that they're not allowed to put them in?
Why don't you make that?
Yes. J-Lo, we can do that. I know for things that come from.
Well, do you do an
in the
ordinance?
jail. You don't need an ordinance. You do it in the jail.
You do it in the
Right?
jail.
Probably condition of approval.
Yes, just J-Lo.
Well, yeah, it could be amend the site plan guidelines, right?
We're not looking for the plant police to go out to all our neighborhoods and check to see what species you have. That's not the purpose of this. This is the purpose of the future. We have to take care of environmental issues for our kids and our grandchildren. We can't just keep on going on the way we are. I've said it many times, and I'll say it again. This community is environmentally brain dead. There's people who speak about the tree ordinance. Well, how can you even conceive that? We've been tearing down trees with the floodplain project, which I don't oppose, but more trees are being torn down than are being planted. Trees have a benefit. The major reason with this added species, invasive species ordinance is for the future. People who have invasive species in their residents right now, I don't think we can do anything with. But it's for future building, future planning. Landscapers all over know now that a lot of commissions are taking up this new ordinance. and they know not to plant certain species. Even the nurseries aren't bringing in invasive plants. So we're trying to get this passed so we're up to date on environmental issues with our community.
So Mike, this is for future, so when there's a new home built, you do have new home
New
built.
homes, new businesses, and
On Drake,
Part of
yeah.
Circle, you can put
and even
restrictions on.
companies
Now, you could also put it in your
homes
ordinance saying this is the design.
that are there now
Lot.
not to
It's a
bring
design.
any additional invasive species.
What they're doing right now is don't
If
put
they
these,
do
like,
more harm than good. And since I hear some signs back here, I'll let this gentleman talk. Thank
It's
you.
also helpful for our sustainable Jersey, like Bob said, that we need to pass some of these ordinances. That's what sustainable Jersey is about, is making changes in our community for the better. So it involves changes in ordinances or adopting new ones. So that's going to allow us to earn points. So without this particular one, we aren't going to be able to apply for this particular action.
Chris, how many, are there, a lot of towns have it?
A lot of times have bamboo. It's hard to enforce.
Yeah.
And as you may recall last time,
Yeah, we talked about it.
I would enforce your bamboo ordinance first. I think the J-Lub, you could do it, as I said to the mayor, do it as a condition of approval. You could also put it in your ordinance as like a design standard, I guess. Right? Our planner, our administrative planner knows, yeah.
Right, to require native species as part of
Yeah,
site plan.
that's very common, Bobby. In fact, Flemington has that up right now.
So does that
It
satisfy?
won't be an ordinance though, right?
Oh, yeah, so you could, two ways, yes. And the second way is the ordinance.
New project.
So would that satisfy what you're trying to accomplish?
I think if we have any type of updated ordinance that involves invasive species, so we
Yeah.
take
Yeah, so
bamboo and
that could be what you do, yeah. So you'd have to get Paul Ricky involved, but you amend the land use ordinance to include a certain list of prohibited species.
So
For new projects, so the J-Lub's already doing it, we know that, because we got,
They are.
you know,
Right.
they would have guidance, and you could take that to sustainable choice.
But who spearheads it here? How does that get done? What makes it happen?
I would
I
try,
should communicate it to the planner.
that's administrator of the police, who is a planner in his own right.
So you're gonna take it to the planner and
Yeah.
tell him what we want.
But then it comes back to
Then it
Chris.
comes back to
It's an amendment.
Chris.
It's
Comes back to Chris.
Yeah, the planning board will look at it, but it is, Bobby asked a specific question, and there are other towns doing that, yes.
And also the governor is working on a policy to make invasive species not available for sale in New Jersey. That's just...
See, you went too far when you started talking about the governor. Yeah. You went too far. You're doing good, Claire. You got the fail. You got to walk away.
So I think this is overreach. And it's not. It's not. Do we really need plants from Home Depot that might look pretty? Well, you have other species that are natural that look pretty also, you know. It's not government overreach. We're trying to save this planet from going...
No, listen, you guys have a noble thing. And I think we've come up with a good compromise.
It's not to impose on people to tear out their plants that are existing now. It's to prevent
Future.
from being planted now and in the future.
That makes a big difference over what I understood it to be the first time, believe me.
That's the past. We don't want the police to go around and hand out summonses, and even if someone was in violation, for instance, if they had a particular invasive species that was rooting to someone else's fence, you know, somebody complains about that. Well, fine. They're not going to give us summons right away. They're going to give them a warning like we always do. How many people do we have going around, or the police officers going around checking dog licenses? No. What happens is if somebody gets bit, they check the license, that dog is quarantined. We don't have somebody going around checking on dog licenses. If something happens, we have the ordinance to enforce it.
Sure.
That's all this is.
Nope, I think we have a plan.
We will do it.
We have a plan. Anybody else?
So you opened it up. I didn't know you opened it up. I might be
Oh, wait, yeah, that's true. No, that's true.
That's true. Sorry, that was my fault.
You'll be there, and don't even move.
Don't move. All right, that was invasive species. That was the discussion on that. Let's talk about the towing ordinance.
So, extremely briefly, Mayor, I've addressed this once before, before the governing body. You license towing, or, your tow providers, your wreckers, sometimes they're called. You license spas, massage parlors, right? There is a suspension process in that both those ordinances. That requires a due process hearing, a right of appeal in the event of those suspensions. I think that the trend is, and certainly I think in Middlesex it would be helpful to update those ordinances to make them more compliant with the state of the law. As to the due process hearing, I am letting the governing body know that you will probably one before the other, probably toe first, unless I change my mind. In the coming months, you'll be presented with those ordinances for discussion and approval. And I'll do toe first because it's probably easier.
That it?
That is it, Mayor. Just be aware of it.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to open the floor, privilege of the floor on agenda workshop items. Motion, second. All in favor?
Aye. You're up.
You're up.
Lucy.
Take a breath, Bruce.
Yeah, I know. I need to. Bruce Sanders, 10 minutes after. Okay, so I don't have a problem at all with you guys setting up a invasive species ordinance for the town, meaning borough property. No problem at all. When you start to look at your own private property, I know you're saying this now, but when you start to look at your own private property for this thing, butterfly bushes, burning bushes, really, this is not a case where you're going to run, Mr. Corsini, very busy with law cases. I have 6 here. Ackerman versus Ellis. These were property cases, mainly trees. DeAndrea versus Gugliata. There are 6. One of them may give a wiggle room for a court to go after a private property. We are not an HOA, and if we are an HOA, please mow my lawn every week.
Lenny. Lenny, you do everything else. You do everything else, Len.
The way we sent you the bill.
Yeah. Well, I already get it through my taxes. That's my HOA. So I don't have an issue at all making it borough property. Start that way. I have an issue with going as far as, and I agree with what you said, you go to Home Depot, there's all kinds of plants. I mean, it's a world of different plants. I have a degree in meteorology. I can send you up slides on global warming. I can tell you that it is not. It's a money grab. You got to watch. I went to school at Rutgers. Environmental things get way out of hand. They try to go the gauntlet and not look at the human condition. My point here is Claire has done some great work. We have issues with the borough property that was a Superfund site, part of the Superfund site. We should be looking into those things environmentally and trying to get that property cleaned up, force EPA, DEP, get that kind of stuff working. But to spend time on invasive species is ludicrous in my opinion, and it's also based on a science opinion in meteorology and global warming. Be very careful with this. It's a slippery slope. That's my only comment.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Oh.
Mike Schneider, resident at 440 High Street, Middlesex. I'm not representing the Environmental Commission. 98% of climatologists agree that global warming is killing this earth. That's a fact. I just wanted to bring that up. 27% of our population does not agree that it does, but the majority do. And we're trying to do our part, and with this Invasive Species Act, because we also have a problem with pollinators coming back. A lot of these invasive species are not beneficial to the pollinators that we need for our gardens, our lands, our crops. How many times have you gone into